guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to see how to do some of these problems from the practice packet that I posted in Google Classroom. So we got through the first 9 problems in class on Tuesday, so we're just going to finish these last 7 problems together. So let's look at this problem. They're talking about similar triangles. We know they're similar because they tell us it's similar. Now, if shapes are similar, it means their sides are proportional. So there's 2 triangles drawn right there. We have our first triangle, which would be here. I'm going to just draw this off to the side. It's 91 up the side. It's 84 up the other side, and it's unknown across the bottom. So let's just use an X for unknown. Okay, we'll put an X right there. Now the other triangle that they have drawn up there is right here. So we're going to draw that right here. Now its sides are 13, 12, and 9. So we have a large compared to a small. So remember, when we do these problems, these similar problems with proportions, we're going to compare large to small. So in the large, I have 3 sides to pick from, okay? But I'm trying to solve the one on the bottom. So let's use either the left side or the right side of the blue triangle. Let's just go ahead and just keep it simple. Here's 91. The corresponding side in the small would be 13. So we're comparing 91 to 13. Now, in the large triangle, we have X on the bottom. Well, what's in the bottom in this triangle? 9. So that's how we'd set the problem. You cross multiply, and you'll get your answer, okay? And your answer would be 63. Now, these 2 triangles are a little bit harder to understand. You have to make sure that you look in, hey, we have a large compared to a small. They tell us it's similar. So we're going to compare large to small. Now, in the large triangle, 56 looks like the shorter side, doesn't it? So in the large triangle, 56 is the shorter side. In the small triangle, 12 is the longer side. Now, in the large triangle, 6 plus 6x is my large side. And in the small triangle, 18 is my long side. So that's how I would set this up. Cross multiply and solve for x. Make sure when you cross multiply, 56 times 18, that shouldn't be hard to do because you got a calculator. You get 1,008. But when you distribute this 12, you have to make sure that 12 multiplies with the 6 twice. So 12 times 6 is 72x. 12 times 6 is 72. Sorry, I got those mixed up. That would be 12 times 6 is 72, and then 72x, because you're multiplying it with both those numbers. And then you finish the problem out. You should be able to do that. You get 13. Now, these polygons are similar because they tell us they're similar in the directions. If shapes are similar, all you have to do is compare their corresponding sides in a proportion. So we have our small polygon, we have our large polygon. So I'm going to compare small to large. In the small, on the top we have x minus 5. In the large, we have 24 on top. Now, we know that this is 7, this is 6.9, but we don't know the sides of this. So we're not going to use the sides at all. So now let's look at the bottom. In the small, we have an 8 on the bottom. In the large, we have a 32 on the bottom. So now to solve this problem, all you have to do is cross multiply. 24 times 8 is 192. 32 times x, and then 32 times 5, I believe is 160. Add 160 to the other side. You get 352 equals 32x. Sorry, 352. Divide both sides by 32, you get x equals 11. All right, number 13. This is a parallelogram. Remember, in a parallelogram, the angles that are next to each other, are supplementary. So that means that this angle, 15x plus 5, plus this angle, which is 55, equals 180. Okay? And then you just finish it out and solve it. And your answer right here is 8. Alright, so in these 2 problems, if the angles are next to each other, they equal 180. If the angles are across from each other, the rule is real simple. If they're across from each other, then the angles are equal. So that means 8x minus 1 is equal to 6x plus 23. Now make sure you pay attention to what the measure of the angle. So when I take away 6x on both sides, I get 2x minus 1 equals 23. Add 1 to the other side, you get 2x equals 24. So therefore, x equals 12. So I'm going to take that 12 and I'm going to plug it in here. Well, 6 times 12 is 72, and 72 plus 23 is 95. Now, we talked about when you crisscross a parallelogram. When you crisscross a parallelogram, it cuts the diagonals in half. So let's kind of zoom in on this one. So that means that this length is the same as this length is the same as this length. So B to R, which is this length, that's equal to RD. That means this length and this length are equal to each other. So that means these two lengths are equal to each other. So 2x minus 1 is equal to x plus 9. And then you just solve it. Okay? Oh, here's where you got to pay attention though. When I solve this, I take away x on both sides. I get x minus 1 equals 9. So therefore, we know that x equals 10. But the answer is supposed to be 19. That's because they want us to find the distance of B to R. So what we have to do is plug in 10. Well, if you plug in 10, 10 plus 9 is 19. So that means this is 19 and this is 19. We have 2 slides left. Actually, this is the last slide, but there's 2 problems on it. Alright, this is what we talked about on Tuesday. We talked about if you have a triangle, right? If you have a triangle and you cut that triangle in half, not cut it in half, I'm sorry. If you cut it with a parallel line, then that means this number over this number is equal to this number over this number. Okay? So, if I were to have something like this, let's say, let me put some numbers in there. If I said that this was 9, and this was 6, and this was x, and this was 5, then the way you would solve it, you'd say 9 over 6 is equal to x over 5, and you would crisscross, cross multiply. Okay? So they try to trick you on this first one. They don't rotate the triangle around, but if you did rotate it around, right, you would say that this would be the top, this would be the bottom. So 9 over your unknown, top over bottom, 6 over 4. And when you cross multiply that, you get 36 equals 6x. So therefore x equals 6. Now, that's what would go right here. But they want you to find the length of the blue line. Well, that would be 9 plus 6, which would be 15. Okay? And the last one, we have our top over our bottom. So 5x plus 5 over 15. We have our top over our bottom, which would be 16 over 12. And then you would just cross multiply that and solve it. And the answer you should get is 3 if you do that correctly. Make sure when you are cross multiplying, why is this not working? There we go. That multiplies here, but you have to make sure that this 12 multiplies with the 5 and the other 5 when you cross multiply. Alright guys, so when you arrive to class on Friday, alright, I want to make sure I give you some way to kind of know that you paid attention and you watched this video. So I need to do something to give you guys a little extra credit for doing that. So, what I would like for you to do is when you come to class, in the group chat, I just want you to write down any color. any color that you like, your favorite color. So when you come to class, I'm not going to say anything, just in the group chat, you're just going to write down your favorite color, okay? And if you do that, I'm going to give you 5 bonus points on your test because that shows me that you paid attention to this video, all right? If you tell someone why you're writing the color, you're not going to get it. So don't give it away to the people who didn't pay attention to this video. All right, I will see you guys in class on Friday.